Just spinning.
Did it play the intro for you?
No.
Like for live.
You may just have to go live, mate. What
I've no idea
What a
what's
damn
going on
stunt
here,
that
but
was.
it's just spinning on my screen and it's just. Are we actually live at the minute?
It says live on my screen, mate.
It says live. Hello, everyone. This is us being very professional with Rangers Journal. We are doing a podcast today on the Rangers season preview. It is the week of the new season. It comes round so quickly, doesn't it? And we've got a very peculiar kickoff on Friday evening, 8 p.m. at Tannadice. So we're going to preview the season. What are we expecting from this season? And we'll touch a little bit on the West Ham game yesterday. Do we see any standout players from that? But apologies, a few technical problems there. I did not get the titles come up there. I hope you guys did at home. But yes, welcome to the Rangers Journal. You are all live with us. And don't forget, it is the summer. You're all thinking of going away. So if you do go over to glorious Lanzarote, like a lot of bears tend to, do head over to the good guys at the Bluebells bar in Puerto del Carmen. They're the only Rangers bar in Puerto del Carmen. Family friendly, so take the Waynes there. They've got lots of great stuff there. Eat, drink, chill or party. They've definitely got you covered. And yes, they do show every Rangers game live. And of course, the season is starting on Friday, so no better place to be than to watch Rangers face Dundee United. So to join us on the pod this evening, first of all, we got Ryan back from his exploits across the globe following Scotland in the World Cup. How you doing, mate? It's good to see you.
Yeah, I'm doing okay, pal. That's all the holidays done for the year now, so back to reality. Unless we get a nice draw in Europe, that I might be tempted to go away for that. But yeah, I'm back and buzzing. I'm ready to rock.
Yeah, you'll get the draw and it'll be like Uzbekistan. You're like, oh, might set that one out. But good to have you on, Ryan. Good to see you, mate. And last but not least, I failed a fitness test on Friday for the Ibrox Channel podcast. Billy was a fantastic guy from the bench. So I'm definitely fighting for my place now. How you doing, Billy?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, thank you very much. It was Friday was the pod I used to do every week. So when it's changed over to the Ibrox Channel, I've kind of enjoyed having that day to myself. But not this week. And I don't know if it was the week before. Was it the previous week or the week before I covered for it as well? You seem to just have a lot of nightmare at work.
I know I do, don't I? Yeah, unfortunately, but hopefully things should be a wee bit better now. I'm definitely here on Friday, so I'll definitely be going ahead with the pod on Friday, so don't worry unless I fall down the stairs or something, which is very me. But cheers for that, Billy, and cheers for everyone at home for all the fantastic comments. And we are going to get into it. Obviously, some good comments coming in there. Hello to everyone, Peter John. All right, pal. And let's talk football careers now. Let's look back to a year ago, Ryan. 1 year ago, we had Russell Martin unveiled as the Rangers manager. I know, I'm sorry, mate. The PTSD is kicking back in now. I can see you twitching, mate. I do apologise. We saw some of the friendly performances. There was some question marks. How are you feeling right now compared to this time last year, Ryan?
A lot more positive than I was last year. I know a lot of people within the Rangers support, and maybe all football support, always say that friendlies don't matter and friendlies don't have any bearing on that, but I'm not in that camp. Winning becomes a habit and good performances put you in good stead. And if you look at Rangers' seasons, Rangers' successful seasons, and going historically, when we've had a good pre-season with years that we've beaten Chelsea. I remember there was a year that we gave Marseille a right good slap. When we start well in pre-season, it tends to kind of follow suit into the season ahead. When we have a bad pre-season where we're going out and we're not really performing, and everyone say, oh, it's just getting minutes and legs, it's just about getting performance, it's just about getting fitness levels up and stuff like that. I don't buy it at all. It's you go out there in a blue jersey, no matter who you're playing. I don't care if you're playing the Milkman, the Binman. You need to go out there and you need to perform your best, and I expect a win every single time those guys go out in Ibrox.
Yeah, no, I do agree. You always get a good feel for the season, don't you, Billy, sometimes when, you look back a few seasons ago, obviously we beat a Real Madrid 11, and I will use a Real Madrid 11 because it wasn't quite the full-on Real Madrid side, but we had some good performances in that game, and we thought, you know what, this is going to be a good start to the season. It does set you up, doesn't it, Billy?
Yeah, but there's a downside to that. I seen you liked a post or commented on a post on X about how we felt that Tom Lawrence and Rabbi Matondo were going to push us on to title winning glory, and it's easy to maybe get too high or too low when it comes to pre-season friendlies. Obviously, that Real Madrid game, Sakala scoring that game.
He'll be second, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Cedric Kittens scored the first.
It's a fun way to win. In fact, was it not Cedric Hitton scored against them and then moved to another team, scored against Arsenal, and we're like, oh, this guy's scoring against all these big teams. We should have kept him. But I'm tend to try be. I'm not getting too up and too down. Last year, I definitely got not down, but I definitely just felt negative about the whole Russell Martin appointment. This season, I don't think we're as far ahead with the squad wise as we need to be, especially in the creative positions, as one of the comments already has said. But I'm trying not to let that affect my mood too much. I think I've seen in these friendlies we should have enough to defeat Dundee United on Friday night, and that's the first challenge we need to face. So not too high, not too low. We've had highs of beating Real Madrid, and we've had lows of getting beat off Spurs. Beat or draw.
The Walter Tull Cup, we lost it. Harry Kane scored the winner, I believe, if I remember right.
So, I mean, we don't want to get too up or down. I mean, I think that was decent level of opposition. We didn't need to go up against a second-string Real Madrid team. We got a good performance out of St Etienne and West Ham. So, yep, not too high, not too low. Just we'll take it a game at a time at the moment. It just feels like Groundhog Day. We're back here again.
Yeah, no, that's 100% that, Billy. I think, Ryan, we're quite grounded as fans now. I think we've seen it all, haven't we? I don't think we ever really now get too carried away until we sign the next player and we're saying, oh, we're winning the league. But I think at the minute, we're happy we've got Derek McInnes in, somebody that knows the league. I think that is part of the battle. But do you think we're ready for Dundee United on Friday?
I think we're ready for someone of the standard of Dundee United. I don't mean any disrespect to them when I say that. I would fancy most Rangers teams to go and beat Dundee United. I think we've been quite lucky in that fixture, to be honest with you, because normally we usually get an absolutely stinking, it's usually something like Tynecastle or Pittodrie or something like that. So I think we've actually been quite lucky in that, that multi-million-pound random computer that makes up all these fixtures that always seem to fall in somebody else's favour is actually done us a wee turn for once. So it's one that I think we should be looking to go and win. The key thing is for us just go out there and just play the game in their half as much as we possibly can. There's a comment there from Peter John about the low block. Just get the ball into Shankly, get the ball into Chermiti and let these guys do their thing. Defensively, I think we've looked okay, but I'm glad it is Dundee United, not maybe one of our more probably closer rivals that's going to be up there at the end of the season with us.
Yeah, no, definitely. Still though, Billy, Tannadice, Friday night can still be a little bit of a tricky fixture, can't it? Because you don't quite know what you're going to get from Dundee United, do you?
I don't follow the team close enough to know how good a position they're in. I think they have struggled in their game so far. In this, what is it, cup campaign, Ryan? You might be able to.
I'll just get a quick check in the League Cup. Apparently, he's under a lot of pressure, Goodwin.
Yeah, I mean, I was aware of them not being playing particularly well. Obviously, they will raise their game for us, but I've also been up to Tannadice enough times, and it's been. I think I've only ever seen us draw up there. So maybe I'll keep away. Despite Dundee not being too far away from me, I think I'll avoid that game, just so I don't jinx anything. But you don't know what you're going to get. But you are going to get a team that are going to give an extra 10%, whatever you want to call it. It's the Rangers tax, isn't it? So it's a Friday night fixture. Always leaves a bit of not dread, but I'd rather it was just 3 o'clock Ibrox on a Saturday. But we need to win the league for that to start happening.
I can give you the fixture, sorry, if you want. I can give you the results so far this season if you want them.
Sure.
So the League Cup, a narrow 1-0 win away to Stirling Albion. The first game, I think, scored in the last couple of minutes for that one. Defeated by Montrose away in the next game, 14th of July. Convincing win 3-0 at Arbroath. Another convincing win 4-0. Spartans, obviously low league opposition. And they also played a friendly at the weekend. They get beat 3-2 off of Salford City, the English team, at the weekend there. So I think they're in League One, maybe Salford. So it's not exactly great, but obviously it's friendlies and all this kind of stuff. So depending on how you interpret that, but only beating Stirling Albion, who are League Two, and getting beat off Montrose there suggests that there is, frailties within the squad. So I don't know what they've done in the transfer market since those results, mind you.
You know what, Ryan, though, looking at those kind of results, obviously the League Cup starts quite early in July. They looked like they were struggling at first, but then obviously they beat Arbroath 3-0. They beat Spartans 4-0, I think, as well. So they might have maybe started to hit the ground running a little bit. Do you think they might have the upper hand, Ryan, going into the first game? They've been playing a little bit more together. We've only had a handful of friendlies, really, like most teams, to be fair. But do you think, they've had that competitive football? Do you think that might give them a little edge?
Maybe, mate. I mean, these are part-time teams they're playing. You're expecting to go out there and beat them. These guys, Tuesday night games, they've come away from their work to come and play Dundee United, so they're expected to win these games as such. I mean, listen, you find these players raise their games, especially these under the lights fixtures and stuff like that. We've seen it before, we'll see it again. Every game against Old Firm, especially Rangers, is a cup final for these players. So we'll wait and see what comes of it. I think probably the most important thing for us is just make sure we go out there and get an early first goal. For us, let's get the nerves settled. Let's not give them any kind of grand ideas that we're not here for anything else apart from a victory.
Totally agree. That's the Rangers way. Now, Billy, there's a question that's come in from Harvey Craig. Do you lads think Devlin has been the best signing so far? Honestly, starting to love this lad. And guess what? He's not a lone player. Yeah, we always fall in love with a lone player, don't we? But yeah, Billy, do you think he's probably at the minute probably the best signing so far?
From what we've seen, and I don't want to quote other podcasts, but listen to another Rangers podcast, and the opinion was he seems to make the other players round about him give that extra amount. They see him putting that effort in. I mean, he's not a player that's coming here with an attitude. This is a great chance for him to hopefully try and win the league, try to win cups. That's why he said he's come here. But I think you can see by his tenacity, the way he gets the ball back is fantastic. He did that again yesterday against West Ham. It's just and I've said it on a previous pod, the worry is, will he get away with what he got away with at Hearts as regards to his tackling? Now, he did do something yesterday quite well when he was involved in something and then kind of got out of the way. And then when the referee did speak to him, he was acting all innocent. So if he learns these kind of tricks, I guess they call it the dark arts of being able to do this and sneak away before the referee works out who it was, then that's... what's that? I've not even read this. No, you can see I've got loads of grey here. Picture. Thanks very much for that. See, a year ago, Scotty would have banned someone for a comment like that. Standards are cutting.
We're not up to Rangers Strudian standards anymore, are we? Yeah, we're slipping. Yeah, no, I totally agree, Billy. I totally agree. Ryan, one interesting thing, we've not seen too much. We've seen some slightly different formations. We've been speaking a lot about how we expect Derek McInnes to set up. How do you think we are going to approach the football this season, Ryan? Based on what we've seen so far, how do you think we're kind of going to approach a lot of these games like the Dundee United game?
I think he's well in favour of a 4-4-2. I think we knew that when we got him in. He's a very kind of traditionalist, if that makes sense. He's going to be looking to try and get that. My worry is it's the personnel within the 4-4-2. I don't see a partnership in Chermiti and Shankland, to be honest with you. I don't see any sort of chemistry between those two, and I think one of those two are going to eventually have to kind of move on to either the bench, or if a lucrative bid does come in for Chermiti, I think the club would be obliged to accept it. I think as well, when you're looking at guys like Devlin, when you're looking at guys like Diamandi in the middle of the park as well, I don't see us going in, with a 4-4-2 and having Asgard, for example, sitting next to Devlin. I think Devlin's part of a midfield three, to be honest, with another two kind of creative players next to him there. So it's one that I think that we need to have a plan A, a plan B, and probably a plan C as well. I think McInnes is savvy enough, and I think he showed it against us when he's played against us before, that he does have that versatility. He's not stubborn like managers going by where they just wouldn't change things, and we're all sitting there screaming, he needs to get this changed, this isn't working, and they would stick to their own tactics. And I don't know if it's an arrogance about maybe previous managers that would do that, but I think Derek's quite, he's got that enough that he knows when things aren't working. He analyses things really, really well. So I think we need to have something within that. And I think everything will probably start as 4-4-2. And then there'll be kind of changes within that will maybe just run different things to adapt within game, whether that's using people off the bench or whether it's just changing personnel within. We've seen that against St Etienne where he stuck Chotwani out on the left-hand side and he took Curtis off. You see that he went to 3-5-2 at the weekend, which was actually always the plan regardless of how the game was going. My problem is I don't think we've got the right person. I don't think we've got the great number 10. I think Asgard had a really good game yesterday, but I don't trust him over a season. I trust him within a certain 1 or 2 games, but I don't trust him to be consistent with that over the course of a season. I don't see the Chermiti-Shankland partnership work. I just don't. I don't know. When I'm looking at these two guys, I just think these two guys are just exactly the same players. You occupy the same place. I'd rather see a kind of little and large, if you like.
Yeah, no, it definitely is concerning in that respect. Speaking of managers and former managers, obviously Ryan was speaking there about the proactivity of Derek McInnes, something that he's been known to do, especially against us and other sides, something that a lot of modern European managers don't really tend to favour. And again, don't know if it's it's my way and it will work at some point kind of thing. But Danny Rule was speaking to, actually I'm not sure who he was speaking to, if it was one of the Red Top Papers or something, but it was an interview. And he was talking about the other mob from the other end of the city singing his name, which was meaning that they were afraid of him. He was kind of quoting that as. I don't know if you've seen that interview, Billy. It to me sounded a bit strange and actually a little bit out of touch. Is that a worry that he kind of read that as that?
I mean, not a worry for us, maybe a worry for his team
Yeah.
that he's with now. I mean, I'm of the opinion we have upgraded in the manager's position this summer, and I wasn't wanting him to continue on. Whether that was a great grand plan by the club, knowing he would be in favour in Europe, I don't know. But I find that I didn't see that comment. I've seen a few other comments from the article, but I never read that one. But that's it's very out of touch. That was not why they were singing his name. They were mocking us.
Yeah, which is quite a concern, isn't it, Ryan? Because I think it was very split towards the end of the season. I think myself and Richard were willing to give him the chance into this year because he hadn't really had that kind of full time. But it maybe sounds like he might have not still quite understood it here, Ryan.
It's completely out of touch, and he's deluded. To be honest with you, I wanted to see the back of the guy, and I'm glad it happened. If we got any sort of compensation for him going to Salzburg, it was a bonus. But I seen enough of him last season. I'd made my mind up on him. I found him tactically inept. I was sitting watching games of football as a regular punter with no UEFA qualifications and coaching. Even I knew the stuff that he should be doing miles ahead of it. I think he's just showing up to just a bit of tit, to be honest with you now. After doing that interview, I don't really see the need why he actually done it in the first place.
Yeah, it was a very strange interview, to be fair. Let's have a little look, Billy. Ryan's been talking about the strike force up front. He reckons it's not quite knitting together at the minute. Now, on paper, you look at Shankland, you look at Nadiri, you look at Chermiti there, and of course, we got Miovski now. On paper, I think you look at that and think, we got the potential there to have a very good strike force, but do you think it's a little bit concerning at the minute? You look at pre-season and we've not really seen too much from Shankland. Yes, he did score the penalty against St Etienne. But do you think it's not quite knitting together up top at the minute?
They're getting nothing to work off of, Ryan. I'm Ryan, sorry, Andrew. I'm really not. I'm not concerned with the strike force at all. I'm not concerned particularly with the defence either, other than the numbers aren't there. But if we get another couple in of similar quality, I think we'll be fine. And I'm not particularly concerned about the central midfield area. It is these wide areas, and as Ryan mentioned earlier, the number 10 role for creating chances for either the one or two strikers, it's not been there at all. We got those 2 penalties, but I didn't see us scoring out with those 2 goals the other night. Now in the second half yesterday, there was 1 or 2 crosses come in. Was it Chermiti or was it Shankland got a header that was a decent save, maybe a bit too central for the keeper, mind you, but at least it was a chance. But that's the only one I can actually remember off the top of my head from the whole game or the whole 2 games. So I would say that our problems the way we lack quality is your Gassama's not good enough. Ant-Man looked okay, but would you really want to go into another season with Ant-Man being one of your main chance creators? I don't see it. So, I think the manager has talked about bringing in creative players. He's identified that in his press conference yesterday, that is an area that he knows he needs to work on. So that's good. At least he's not try to gaslight us by saying what we've got there already is good enough. He's obviously not out and out named the players, but we know who he's talking about. I mean, he didn't even start any of those two players in the St Etienne game, and we had a central midfielder playing out on a wing. So I think he knows the problem positions, and hopefully he's given the recruitment staff a big vote of confidence yesterday by saying they're working on things, and there's one person basically signed and another one to come in. He doesn't do himself favours though, because he's mentioned a few times players should be signed before this and before that, and they end up still not. Okay, we got one on Friday there, but they're still not. There's not enough coming in yet. That's what I'm saying earlier on in the pod. We should be further down the line, and I know the World Cup mucks everything up, and I know we say, well, we don't need to sell to buy, but I think we're waiting on they're asking money for a start before we go out and get whatever this is. A comment further up about where is the star signing. I think we need the money in for that.
Yeah, I think that's the reality, isn't it? Doug actually shared in one of our groups, the stat man himself, a kind of timeline versus other seasons where we've brought players in, and there are elements of it that don't look too dissimilar, but I think at this point there's normally another, at least maybe two or three. So yeah, I think the reality is, players like Gassama, who, got to be honest here, he seems to have dropped off a cliff, hasn't he, Ryan? He just doesn't seem right. I think Curtis, maybe he needs a little bit of a rest. He's been to the World Cup. Yes, he's had a couple of weeks, but he had a very decent end to last season, so maybe he just needs to get back up to speed again. The only real things we're looking at the minute is, I think Devlin potentially at the minute, seems to be the kind of one bright spark a lot of people are looking at, but he's somebody that some people were very divided on him being signed and looked upon him as, oh, well, he'll be somebody that will maybe come off the bench and so forth. But yeah, there is an element in this squad at the minute, isn't there, Ryan, that even the players you kind of are expecting to be performing maybe aren't quite there yet. But then you do have one that seems to be, hitting the ground running at the minute, and that's Asgard. What do you reckon to Asgard at the minute?
Well, he had a really good game yesterday. He's come back, he's looked bright, he's obviously showed a right hunger and desire to get back. He's come back early. I think it's a big year for him. McInnes seems to be making the right noises about in public as well. So he is a great player. He's got all the right attributes and stuff, but he needs to want this as much as we want it for him as well. And that's put a marker down. It's put a gauntlet down in front of him to say, look, you've got a chance here to be a starting Rangers player every single week, and maybe one of these days they'll be talking about you in a £15-20 million move going to somewhere in the continent. But he has to find that within himself. And there's some great moments for Asgard last season. There was a couple of great headers that he scored goals. He's had a couple of wonderful. He's a great dead ball taker as well. So it's just a case of getting that consistently out. Hopefully he's going to be okay for Friday night. He's obviously went down with a knock. Before he was absolutely clattered. Before that, I think he's just about to lay Shankland in for a goal, to be honest. So it did look okay. Your wingers that you mentioned there, I've got a feeling Finlay Curtis needs another year out on loan. I still think he's got a wee habit of hiding within games, and a lot of people were giving Gassama a hard time yesterday. Gassama, for me, in the first half, did a lot more than what Finlay Curtis did, and I think it's that kind of natural thing that we obviously love. Finlay's one of our own and stuff like that, and Gassama's still got a lot to prove. If you're perfectly honest with yourself, Gassama actually offered a lot more in that game than what Finlay Curtis did. So, and there's just a couple of kind of nearly moments with Gassama. I think he needs a wee bit more help from Romans yesterday. I don't think Romans had his best game for us. It was a wee bit off the boil. I'd like to see him getting up the park a little bit more, because I think he's really, really dangerous. But there's no doubt we do need there. I would say that at this moment in time, I am not worried in any way, shape or form. I think we look okay, we look good. This time last year, it's just a car crash TV written on it. You just knew that some of the players we had, you just didn't have it whatsoever. I think it's just that what we have now is a really solid foundation of a squad, and that we just need to start just kind of building on that and polishing it and getting guys out the door. Guys like Raskin you spoke about, probably Connor Barron's going to get moved on, get the money in, and then start adding to it and adding quality to the squad. I think what we have with this squad is solid, and there's a right good Scottish base. There's lots of character and good attitude and stuff like that within it. All you need to now do is just make it better and just steamroll, just bulldoze everything that gets put in front of you every single week domestically in Europe, and just see where it takes you.
Yeah, exactly. No, I do agree. Wise words, Ryan. Billy, let's talk about captaincy, because I don't think there's been a real announcement yet of who is going to be the captain going forward. Maybe it's because the captain maybe hasn't been signed yet. Yesterday, I believe it was Sterling that was captain yesterday, I think. We've had Dan Neil previously as well. Who do you think will be wearing the armband on Friday?
It's a question I was thinking. I mean, maybe Shankland if he's getting the starting position. I think someone like Sterling hasn't proved he can stay fit enough to be the captain, and you need somebody who's going to be playing most of the games. I think if you maybe think back to Paul Le Guen and his treatment of Barry Ferguson, and he mentioned something about on the continent, the captain is really just the person that shakes the referee's hand and says heads or tails for the kickoff. But especially in Britain and especially at Rangers, the club captain is a massive role. It's maybe the heaviest shirt that a player can wear for Rangers. You know, you could maybe argue a number 9. The strikers is one of the hardest positions. But the Rangers captain, for me personally, and I think for a lot of Rangers fans, is vitally important. And I think McKenna's downplaying it. I'm not saying he's doing what Le Guen did, but it's not. He should be bigging that position up and saying the person that gets it is a real leader. And the only thing I can think of is that the player hasn't been signed yet, which puts us in a difficult position, because you put a guy out on Friday night with the captain's armband. Yes, are you going to take that off him, or are you just going to keep rotating it until you get the player in that you're hoping to give the captaincy to? It's a difficult position, and I guess he's trying to navigate it in any way that he can. But I think it's a big question the fans want to know. Who is? We've had the same captain for 10 years now. Who is the next Rangers captain that's going to lead us for the next few seasons? I know I want to know. So he's got a big decision to make, and I can only hope that the reason he hasn't chosen it is because the player isn't here yet, because he must have seen enough in training, and he did mention that yesterday, that there's a few people that could be leaders here. Well, that's good. We want that. We want as many leaders as possible, but we also want a captain.
Comment coming here from Scott B05. Dell said yesterday he's chosen it. Did he mean just Friday?
Can I just come in on that? Because I heard the quote him saying that. I didn't take that from. I know you can read it that way, that he has chosen, but then immediately said he's still got to discuss it with the staff. So I don't know if he is sure. And it could have been a bit of a Freudian slip there. Yeah, he knows who it's going to be, but they're not here yet, so he can't announce that. But that's maybe wishful thinking for me. I'm just we need to know who the captain's going to be. That's an important job at Rangers.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it's a bit of a headache at the minute going into it, especially with the season starting Friday. Ryan,
on that, mate?
Yeah, on
the captain settings, I would be. I don't think I would have any kind of major concerns in the long term for Shankland, but I would see in the short term, I'd rather Shankland didn't take the armband. I think there's a certain level of expectation that's fallen in Shankland, obviously, because we've been chasing, or as a fan base, we've been wanting him to be chased for a certain number of years. Billy also mentioned that the number 9 is a heavy jersey for Rangers. Obviously, it's number 7 played as number 9, but I think it might just be something that Shankland could do without just now until such time as he finds his feet as a Rangers striker. And maybe just after his first 4 or 5 games, if he gets told you're going to have it full time, I think that would be okay. But I think just in the first instance, I think it's maybe just something I'd rather see him without, and just concentrate on getting his own game right and getting goals for the team. Dujon Sterling, who wore it yesterday, might be a shout for it, and something that it maybe just helps him go over the psychological thing of his injuries, that if it gives him that little bit of one arm on his arm, that, you know, that wee bit extra, you know, I can't go off injured because I'm the striker, you know, I'm the captain, sorry. Maybe something. And then again with Cammy Devlin, if it's the captain that can only speak to the referee, we know that Cammy Devlin's going to be speaking to referees more often than not than one of any other players, so we just get it out of the way and just get Devlin the armband so he can just talk to the referee on all occasions. But in all seriousness, with Devlin, it might give him that wee bit extra kind of responsibility. And he said, I used to have a really wild player that I managed at amateur level, and he was always getting himself into trouble. We're always having to say, you need to calm yourself down. But I gave him the captaincy, and everyone looked at it and said, you're off your head giving him the captaincy, what are you doing? I was like, go out there and watch him now. And he led, and he was still bullish, he was still getting to tackle, but see, give him the captain's armband, he was his proudest punch and actually got the best out of him.
Yeah, no, I do.
Can I also come back in, Andrew?
Yeah.
I don't want to label it or make a big deal of it, but do you give the captaincy to someone who's just went through a drink driving incident? I don't think that's a good look for the club either. It's an unnecessary stick that people could beat us with. And again, he's I'm sure he regrets it and he'll be paying his penalty for it. But is that something that you want the club to do? Again, it's up to Derek McInnes, but it'd be something I would think about.
Yeah, no, definitely. It all has to be considered, definitely. A comment came in here saying from Graham Brown, he thinks it's Vanya. Interestingly, I was listening to Heart and Hand about a week or so ago, and supposedly when he was coming through the ranks at Serbia, obviously in Serbia, he was made captain at quite a young age, but supposedly that is something that they do out there as a pathway from the academies to the first teams. They do give him the captaincy. So again, like what Billy was alluding to earlier, that might not be necessary that he is captain material just yet for our standard. In Europe, it is treated a little bit differently, like Billy said, in Britain, and indeed in Scotland, it's a completely different kettle of fish. But you never know. He could be. He's somebody that kind of is able to mop up, sit in front of the defence. And
how was Barry Ferguson? He became the captain.
Just was going to Google that, Ryan.
Yeah. Was it 2002, wasn't it? He became captain?
2001 or 2002.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Because then in 2003 season, when we won the 50th, he wasn't he the top goal scorer? Yep, or one of the top midfield goal scorers? Probably that might be what it was, because he was just on fire that season. But a lot of players in that team were on fire. We still had, Khadija.
22 is what comes up, Ryan, sorry.
Okay.
So that's
yeah. But then, Barry Ferguson was somebody that came through the ranks, absolutely bled Rangers, used to clean the boots when he was, 16, 17, the first team players. So, yeah, he's somebody that definitely gets it and got it then. So, yeah, definitely. Now, Billy, I'm going to come to you with this one, mate. Ryan was obviously speaking about, performances, trying to maybe, pummel teams as much as you can, get them wins and move on to the next week. Will supporters stay patient if performances are good, but the results take time? What do you reckon, Billy?
I think with Derek McInnes, he'll get more time and more patience than even the previous two managers. I think that there's a lot of buy-in. With how well he got Hearts performing last season to be, minutes away from winning the league. Now with a bigger budget and hopefully a better team, he hopefully be able to do that, recreate that kind of winning mentality. What he does need to change, and it's something we have been, even under Gerrard, we were bad for it, is slow starts. That needs to get taken out of our game. And I know it's not maybe something you can quantify, but we start games far too slowly and we let other teams get comfortable and let them sit in or let them even come at us, which they were doing last season. We need to get down, as Ryan said, an early goal kind of is essential in these games. It takes that belief and wind out of the opposition sails, and okay, you can maybe say we're not out of it yet. It certainly makes a dent in the game plan to sit in as much as possible. So that this needs to be this is where the mentality of the having more captains in the team or more people with that mentality is the get up and, as Ryan said, that pride of playing for the team, whether you're the captain or not, and putting teams to the sword a lot earlier than we have been doing. Because when's the last time you've seen us come out the traps?
As to be fair, you can't think of one off the top of your head. In a meaningful game.
No.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. What I'll do now is I'll go through some kind of questions and some points on the league, and then we'll also look ahead to Europe as well, because obviously Europe's still massively important to Rangers, but is it going to be as important this season? Obviously, considering how it all went last year. So, first of all, Ryan, this is an impossible question, really, but I'm going to ask you it anyway. Can Rangers win the Premiership?
100%. Of course they can. Of course they can. Truth be told, they should have won it last year before the split. If you'd actually looked at the form and you looked at the fixtures, we should have won the league last year. And for whatever reason, one thing or another, history repeated itself and we fell flat on our arse again. But, any other decent Rangers team would have ran away with that post-split. There's absolutely no way that we should have lost that league last season the way we did, and especially finishing third from the position we were in is just an absolute joke. So if that Rangers team could win the league last season, certainly this new Rangers team, what it's going to be, should be win the business end of this season as well.
I think the frustrating thing as well is when we got towards the split, it took us a long time to really properly believe that we knew we'd kind of be close, but we still weren't fully believing that we'd win the title. But then when we got to that towards that split, we started going, you know what, I think we can do this. And I think a lot of us, and it was justified belief, like you're saying, Ryan, it was justified because you looked at it all and you looked at the form, the way we were playing, we were scoring goals, we weren't conceding that much before it all fell apart. I'm not going to dwell on that too much because obviously different era, different manager. Yes, still some of the same players are there. But it was also a very different season last year with Hearts in the mix. And of course, the other mob not being, good at all, frustratingly. Billy, this might be a bit of another difficult question, but what points total do you think that Rangers kind of need to become champions this year? What are we looking for?
Was last year's one of the lowest?
Yeah,
I can't remember. I think it must have been. You've got to assume we've taken Hearts' striker, we've taken the manager, we've taken one of the main midfielders. And I know that you keep going on about Tony Bloom and whatever, but you've got to assume that Hearts won't be as strong as they were this season. I'm not going to say they're not going to be, still a decent team, but I don't think they're challenging for the title on the last game of the season. And you've also got to assume that they won't be Celtic won't be as bad as they were last season, because I think if that game we go 2-0 up, if we get another goal or they don't get that penalty, who knows what would have happened with the rest of the season. That's them pretty much out of it by that point, and we give them that lifeline and give them the belief, and then they go obviously and win the penalty shootout the following week. I think you're going to be facing. I think they've actually just done what they signed a record transfer fee for a player with a new striker. They obviously know that they're not in a good shape and are going to be throwing money at it as well. So I think high 90s, is that what it used to be for a good Rangers and Celtic team to win? I think we've even had totals that would have won the league in different seasons, but for different circumstances we never won. So yeah, I think we're going to need to be strong. We're going to need to. Last season we got away with so much and could still have won, as Ryan was saying, going into the split. It was all in our hands. And for whatever reason, mentality, not having good enough players, threw it away. I don't think it's going to be one of those seasons next season. I think it is going to be week to week. You're going to be worried if you drop points on a weekly basis.
I guess the one benefit of not winning the league last year means that that Russell Martin never got a winner's medal. So I guess there are some upsides to it all, but there we go. It's interesting because I know some, back, maybe looking 20 odd years ago, if you were kind of winning a lot of games, you'd start looking at that kind of 100-point mark, wouldn't you, as like a potential achievable total. I know, both Old Firm sides have looked at that in the past, but I think those days at the minute, I don't think they're quite there at the minute, but you never know. Which non-Old Firm club, Ryan, is going to finish the highest this year? We've seen Hearts play some competitive games already. We've seen them get absolutely scudded in Europe. They might not be fully finished with their recruitment yet, but obviously based on last year, if they go down the same route, they might be able to recruit some good players. But what's the team you're thinking at the minute is going to be the highest non-Old Firm team finishing? I would normally say the third place finisher, but after the way we finished last year, that could be us.
It's a really difficult question, mate. I'd probably just say, due to the kind of the lack of turnover, I think it'd probably be Hibs more than anything else. But I don't actually have that much concern about anything other than, Celtic across the city. It's a shout there for Aberdeen, maybe, right? Yeah. Motherwell, I don't think it'll be anywhere near it. Motherwell will be decimated. They've lost their goalkeeper, they've lost their centre-halves. Manager's gone, the boy Watt's away, Masvidisi will probably be let's hope Alex does well there. But I can't, obviously the boy Just as well. I don't think Motherwell will be anywhere near it this season. Kilmarnock haven't started great either. Hearts have lost their goalkeeper. They've lost the boy Halkett's away. He's there, bad injury. Kent, we've obviously got Devlin now. Beningaby's gone. Shanklin's gone. Braga will probably get sold as well. So they're I don't know. St Mirren have lost a lot of players as well. Obviously Scott Robinson. It's probably Aberdeen or Hibs. I think the two to look at there. I just think that other clubs have just had such a bad, raid on them. I don't really think there's going to be much else apart from that. And I think we've obviously Robinson's do so well at St Mirren there. He's obviously signed a lot of guys up from Kilmarnock and stuff like that as well. So he's been pretty well backed by his board. Maybe they want to go at.
That's
Billy,
the
what do
thing,
you
though,
reckon?
Andrew. If you have a good season like Motherwell and Hearts did, that you just bigger teams come in and take all those players that performed and, as Ryan said, decimated. It leaves you then. You need to do that again. You need to try to find all these players that all click at one time. But yeah, I just to agree with Ryan, Hibs to me look the more teams still in the same kind of position and maybe a position to build on. But again,
But they're not great either, Billy. Look at them going away in
yeah,
Europe.
I know. I'm just thinking of the highest placed team.
Aye,
maybe
Big Phil's wrote in with the Bloom's no mug hearts for me. Listen, this will actually prove this is Bloom's chance to actually prove if this Jamestown analytics model actually works as such, because he's lost so much now. If you can rebuild it again and perform at the same level as you did again, that if anything does prove the model that he's got there. But I'd be surprised if it does happen.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because you look at, teams that normally you look at the English Premier League and you'll get a team promoted, they'll do extremely well, they'll go above expectations, and then it's that season after that's the hardest one. It's, can you maintain that, especially because of course you get decimated, people approach your players because, they've highlighted that they are the key players that have got them to the position that they are. Like Ryan says, Hearts are decimated, and you could see that in the European tie. And the mad thing was they weren't really out of that. They looked fairly good. They just couldn't finish. They weren't brave enough up top, and every time that they would concede an attack, especially a ball in the box, and that's what seemed to be worrying for them. Just the normal balls into the box, they were not clearing, and they were being met with an opposition head all the time. One interesting one I'm thinking of, for me personally, could Falkirk be somebody that could potentially challenge? I know obviously, they don't have the finances a lot of other clubs that only promoted last season. Season before last now, because we're technically into the new season. They don't have the finances, but they were a very difficult side to play against. Yes, they've lost a couple of players as well. One of their key players was it not Graham,
Sure.
is it Dundee?
Calvin Miller.
That's it. Yeah, I went to. Is it Hearts? He's gone to. Is it Calvin Miller?
Yeah,
Aye.
Barney Shorts as well.
Yeah, so a couple of key players lost there. Under a good manager in McGlynn, can they maybe do something? I don't know. I think it is quite a difficult one. But one I will ask, Billy, who's getting relegated this year?
I can say who I hope.
We can dream.
I hope Aberdeen get relegated.
It is a tough one. You look at. Let me read out the kind of table. So obviously there's Aberdeen, Celtic, Dundee United, Falkirk, Heart of Midlothian, Hibernian, Kilmarnock, Motherwell, Rangers, St Johnstone, and St Mirren. Obviously St Johnstone promoted under
quite possible, Andrew, without possibly Kilmarnock. They avoided it this season. I don't. Apologies to Monty from the Kelly podcast and Cal as well, because they've been on the pod a few times. They've lost a couple of players as well. I don't know how well the recruitment's been. I'll maybe have a chat with them. They lost at the weekend, I believe, as well, because Monty texts me. So just Kilmarnock maybe is more of the one. They just escaped it last season. So have they really got much chance this season? Well, certainly not the place. And are they getting rid of the artificial grass? I think they were meant to be. So that's another.
Sorry.
Yeah, that was one of the kind of ace cards for them, because you could see when we played on it, the bounce wasn't normal. You see players getting confused where the ball was going to be, and I'll go reluctantly because he used to work in Kilmarnock, but I think they look more likely.
Okay, yeah, it's very possible. They have been a kind of a little bit of a seesaw team in recent years, haven't they? They've always generally been a strong team to play against, especially at Rugby Park. But in recent years, they have been in the Championship as well. So, definitely an interesting one. Let's move on to Europe for the last part of the show. So obviously, we are looking to qualify for Europe for the Europa League, which would be good. I think the Europa League in recent years is our happy middle ground. I think it's a competition that we can do very well in. We've obviously been to the final a couple of times this millennium, which is a fantastic achievement for a club of our side. Ryan, how important is European qualification financially? And I know this is going to be a difficult one, but obviously not just the finances, but also the extra games. Could we do with that this year? Could we do without it this year?
think we could do without the games. I think it's an unnecessary distraction for us there, but we do need the money. We need the attraction of Europe, because it's the one thing that does set us apart from, lower level Premier League teams, higher level Championship teams. It's something we can offer that they can't. So it might just attract a certain level of talent of footballer that other teams, it could be the difference of us getting them or not getting them. It's financially, it's an extra few quid in the bank. It's sometimes can lead to that wee tie that I alluded to right at the start of the show that might just entice you to take that wee couple of days holiday away somewhere. If we didn't do well in Europe, if we held our own and didn't embarrass ourselves in Europe this season, I'd be okay with it. Obviously, last season I did think we embarrassed ourselves in Europe. I thought it was absolutely appalling, the way that we played and represented ourselves in Europe last season, and I'd like to see us do a lot better than that. But if you told me we finished mid-table in Europa League and we, had a right good couple of good nights out on the back of it, I'd be okay with that. I'd be fine with that. And then we can get ourselves, get into February, March time and really concentrate and getting there. Because the years that we have done well in Europe, let's not forget, domestically we have suffered. The year that we got to Manchester in 2008, we probably should have won the league that year. We didn't get any help from the powers that be of the fixture list. And 2022 when we got to Seville, a great team but never won the league that year. We just couldn't keep it up. We beat Dortmund, we put Dortmund out of Europe, and they went on and drew 2 each of Motherwell on the Saturday or Sunday at Ibrox. So you can't.
Well, 2-0 up as well, Ryan.
2-0 up, aye, yep. And it was the boy Theo Bair or something, I think, scored 2 goals against us. So in the second half, so obviously got 2-0 up in the first half. You can see we're a quality football team, but just ran out of legs and let the opposition come in and get the equalisers there. So football-wise, I wish it wasn't there, because I really want us to win the league this season. That's absolutely paramount for us. That we do need to go out and we need to get that torch back. We do need to be the Kings of Scotland again, no matter what this season. And Europe will just take care of itself. So I'd rather it wasn't there, but I can understand from a board point of view, from the guys within the building, I can understand how important the money is for us.
Yeah, that's the thing, Billy, isn't it? You look at what is it we get for winning a league title? Is it something like £3 million? Just going through a couple of rounds in Europa League, will be more than that. We are a club that, we primarily generate our money from, retail, from actual bums on seats in the stadium. It's not really the TV deal that generates us any money. So the revenue from these extra games, and being in Europe alone, it's our bread and butter, isn't it, Billy?
Am I right in saying that if we get through this round we're in, that gives you the guaranteed $5 million as well, from the...
Doug is in the chat. I'm sure he'll let us know in a split second.
Yeah, and I can also extend my apologies to Doug. I didn't give you the wrong time. I got a text off Ryan because he'd got mixed up with the time, so I rescheduled this pod to go a wee bit earlier. So, I did give you 7, Doug. Apologies for that, but just so getting through that bit will already give us more than we get for winning the league. But winning the league is what Rangers. That's the Rangers I knew growing up with. That's what they did. Weren't particularly great in Europe. Did well, I think, the very first Champions League version of the Champions League, where we obviously we got to a semi-final, where we came second in a group to a team that were blackmailing, giving the referees backhanders, and that's how Marseille won that one. Well publicised, and then I think we did okay under Advocat one time, but the rest of the time, me growing up supporting Rangers, it's been kind of good results here and there, and until Walter got us to the Europa League final, it's not been, and even in between that and getting to the final again a couple of years back.
I was with Leach got us through. It was the last 16 of the Champions League. Leach got us through.
Right.
That's right, yeah. But I mean, that was a big deal then, and it got us a bit of money, but it wasn't like you're getting close to the final. I mean, I guess, was it Villarreal we played in the following round, and then was it
away goals?
So I mean,
Chris Boyd,
maybe should have went. I know, maybe should have went through, but there's a wee bit. It's a bit of both, Andrew. We need Europe to attract players. We need Europe to show off our players and try and get Calvin Bassey, the money we got for him, Nathan Patterson as well. So yeah, it's a bit of a catch-22. We just need to have a better squad all round than anyone else in this league. And as much as I'm saying that, I also agree with Ryan. I think we had the better squad in 2022 as well. So that didn't win us the league. Europe took it away from us. I don't see us going to that. I don't think we've got the squad there just now that Gerrard and then Van Bronckhorst had. I think McInnes needs a couple of years to build that. So I don't think it's going to be a worry that we're going to be playing extra games that far into it. But it would be good to get to the Europa League proper, possibly get to the following stages, and hopefully by then we're still. I'll let you come in, Ryan. Sorry.
Sorry, I was going to actually say we've not touched on the need for coefficient points as well, because
that's a very good point.
Looking over our shoulder. Do you know, we had aspirations last season to win the league. We were hoping that Olympiacos were going to lose the league. I think there was at one point we were looking at Shakhtar Donetsk's result and stuff like that in Europe. So coefficient points are still very much up for grabs as well. I think that's something we need to consider if we're wanting to, if we've got aspirations for winning the league and getting back into the top table in Europe at the Champions League. I think that's something we maybe need to think about as well.
Well, that's it. That door closes. If we are teetering now, we've slipped. Obviously, I think Hibs can turn around their result. I think that was a little bit of a freak result. I think that can be turned around at Easter Road, but never say never. Just to link to what Billy was saying now, obviously talking about 2006 and getting to the last 16 of the Champions League, and we were a goal away from the quarterfinals, which was insane, especially with 25 stone Olivier Bernard at left back at that point. But that, you look at that team performing in the league, it was one of our worst performances in the league ever. For that kind of era, we finished third that year. That was when Hearts under Vladimir Romanov and Burley, that whole kind of start. And you look to 2002. 2003 when the other mob got to the UEFA Cup final. They probably, if they didn't get there, probably would have won the title, but they still put up a challenge. But you'll notice kind of anytime we do generally perform well in the league, we do in Europe, we do kind of let it slip a little bit. It generally is one or the other with us, and I think the 90s is the best example. You look at Grasshoppers and some of these results that you think, how are these happening? We just couldn't do it in the 90s, especially with the squad that we had. But very interesting. So
can I ask, do you remember where we got the League 55 season? Was it the quarterfinals Europa League we got to?
We were knocked out by Slavia, which was, I think, the round before the round of 16. I think, I'm sure that's when. Yeah, that was that year, wasn't it, Ryan?
It was that year, mate. It was the Glenn Kamara incident against Slavia and stuff like that. It was that season.
That was it, yeah.
Was that the Kamar Roof thing as well, when he get red card?
The boot to the face, which actually did look horrific. You see that back and you go,
that was purely accidental.
Never mind the red card, they should have got to jail. Jesus Christ.
Duncan Ferguson's going, I went to prison for less than that. But anyway, there we go. Right, guys, we're 52 minutes in, and there's still loads to talk about for the season ahead. It's exciting stuff. The real football is back, but the Rangers Journal will be covering it, and of course the Ibrox channel will as well. So, guys, get your comments in. Do like and subscribe to the Rangers Journal. It really does help us. It helps us grow, and it helps us, get into everybody's feeds, because we love talking about Rangers. We want the pod to do well. So, thank you all at home. Thank you for all your comments, and hopefully we can start with a win on Friday, because it's very rare we actually get to start the season with the first game. So it'd be nice to be everyone else playing catch up. So just like to say thank you to Ryan. Ryan, mate, it's good to see you after your exploits in America. It's good to have you back on, pal.
Buzzing me back, mate. Looking forward to the season ahead. Hopefully Rangers are looking forward to as much as what we are.
Oh, I hope so as well. Billy, good to have you on as well, mate. And thank you for covering the Ibrox channel on Friday. A very good stand-in. Good stuff.
No, thank you very much. It's nice to be a pundit from time to time, so I don't have to think of the questions they ask. But just to let people know, we'll be back to full schedule again now. We kind of kept it ticking over the summer. But yeah, back to pre and post matches, match analysis after the games, obviously your Ibrox channel, sometimes featuring Billy Rankin. And back to full strength again. So yeah, keep an eye out for our pods, like and subscribe so you get notifications.
That's it. It's not difficult to do. Just tick that bell, or some people say tickle that bell. That just doesn't sound too right. But do get your notifications on, and you'll be notified anytime we go live, because especially if we do make, a signing or anything does break, then we'll try and be there. So every night's a Rangers Journal night. Take care and enjoy the rest of your Monday. See you later.
Every night is the Rangers Journal night.